Well, that is unexpected. Hello, welcome to the boat shed. Join us today while we adventure on an archaeological expedition to find out what's deep inside the bulwarks of this boat. Let's go check it out. In case you're new here, my name is John, and this boat here is Antidote. Now, I am not a pro boat builder, but I'm an engineer and a sailor with a dream of fixing up this old boat to go sailing around the world someday. And I've got a lot of work to do first. Since you were here last, I've been really busy digging out these bulwarks, using the chainsaw, pulling material out, and it's going pretty well. In fact, we've managed to get quite a bit of material covered. So let's go check in up top and see what's going on now. Since we were here last time, there's been a lot of progress on the bulwark here. We've got about 18 feet done, which is awesome. We've definitely been able to pick up some speed here, as having the right tools for the job is really critical for that. I'm still relying on the oscillating cutter for cutting into the glass. I do like this tool. It's not the fastest, but dust control is awesome. And then I'm still starting with my auger bit, because this allows me to really break up that wood. I'm finding that it's still, even though it's wet, it's still actually quite hard to cut, and the chainsaw is not the greatest tool for cutting plywood. But when it's coming out, we're getting these really big fibers now of wood, and so instead of just coming out all as dust with the auger, the chainsaw is able to eject those larger pieces of wood. So I like to start with my small chainsaw. It's great because it is very controllable with just the one hand, so it kind of makes you feel like a superhero.
The truth is, I am Iron Man.
Cutting into the groove allows me to get the slot kind of started. And then to finish, I'm using the larger DeWalt 12-inch saw. All of this stuff is electric. This has a larger tooth profile, so it's a bit more aggressive than the handheld one. And it just has a really nice deep bar, so I can get in and I can clean out that slot pretty effectively. So I've sharpened this once so far, and the chain is stretching a little bit. I can tell here I'm not oiling it, so it probably will at some point fail. That's why I'm wearing all my safety gear. But yeah, we've been able to clear out a large swath now of the opening, and we've actually almost gotten to midships, and we've hit one of the first chain plates. Now, these are internally embedded chain plates on this boat. Not my favorite way to design chain plates, but it's interesting to see that these are actually inboard of that half-inch plywood. And I've seen some people that have fixed these by bolting external chain plates, which is probably what we will have to do, and they've just bolted through the existing structure. So interesting to know that that goes through some crappy old plywood. When we fill that back in, we'll probably put G10 or something in there. And anyway, we'll get to the chain plates later. That's a whole nother video. We are going to try to open up into the chain plate area here, and then going back even further, we have some T-tracks that are bolted into the top of the bulwark. So I'm expecting to find a long strip of stainless in there. So things are gonna get a little interesting here. Let's see if we can keep opening this up, getting all of the wood out, and see what is left behind. Let's say hi to a couple of the new Patreon crew members that really help keep this channel humming along. If you're interested in some behind-the-scenes updates and ad-free videos, then you can check out the Patreon link in the description down below. The folks whose names are appearing on the screen now go the extra mile to keep this channel moving, and I couldn't do it without you. Thanks all so much. Back to the video. If I'm being absolutely honest, this is a job that I wish I would have started back in the spring, so that it would have had time to dry out naturally. The slot is now open in a lot of areas, and I'm actually surprised at the moisture levels that I'm getting from my moisture meter. So it's telling me that in some spots I'm still getting 24% in this case. That's a little higher than I'd like to be bonding in new material. I'll probably wait for that to come down to at least 15. So we're gonna leave this open until it dries out, And unfortunately, with it getting into the fall and winter here, that's not going to happen too fast, probably. But we'll keep an eye on it, we'll see. So I'm going to go around, I'm going to mark every couple of feet with tape and the date and the current moisture reading, and we'll just see how it naturally dries out. At least there isn't any more wet wood in there holding that moisture content in, so it should hopefully start to dry out. And I think because the natural shear line elevation change, the drier parts are up towards the bow where it is higher, so I think maybe the running water would sort of come down lower in the boat. Anyway, right on, well, we're ready to keep going here, so let's get this scaffolding moved over a little bit so we can access this next area and see what's underneath this fiberglass. Oh boy. I've been breaking off this top layer of resin that kind of settled on the top of the bulwark here to expose the edge of the plywood. And it's been breaking off fine, as it has been the whole way along, and this looks as crappy as the rest of the plywood does, with one exception here. At this big double chain plate that goes up to the main shrouds, there's some bulging here on the fiberglass and some cracking. And that leads me to believe that there's been, water getting in and things have been softening. Maybe the loads have been pulling in a bit to crack this fiberglass, possibly some freeze thaw. At any rate, as I'm cleaning up in here, I managed to punch through and I'm exposing what looks to be another layer of plywood, this time on the inner bulwark side. So that might be my decision to cut the inner bulwark off, revealing itself to us here in real time, because it appears there's another layer of plywood now on the inside skin of the bulwark. So that's really disappointing. And there's another little piece here that's poking its head out. So I think there's a really good chance that there's plywood along this whole bulwark. Maybe what I'll do is drill a couple of small test holes just to see that I could repair easily if it's clean behind. But I have reason to believe we have plywood in here. And so while we're cutting it out, why would I leave that now? Disappointing for sure. I'm going to open up the next section behind just to see if it's all sort of the same game. And before I go too far, these chain plates, I want to take some measurements off of them, the angles they're sitting at, both fore and aft and side to side, so that we have good indication of where those are currently. So when we go to make the new external chain plates, we can get them in the right spot at the right angles. And I'll, of course, reality check all that with drawings and whatnot. And we'll probably take a couple of angles at a base point measurement just so that we know everything relative to each other. So if the boat were to shift a little bit one way or the other, I still know these angle measurements relative to the neutral plane of the boat. So that's what's happening here. We carry on. So as I've been digging out around this chain plate and we're getting close to the stanchion base here, we've hit the backing plate for the base, which is cool. I was hoping to confirm that they're in good shape. now that we're digging into this side of the bulwark. And I was expecting this to be stainless steel. You might recall from a previous video where I did some digging and actually widened the holes a bit so I could get really good grip in there. You can check that video up here. But I don't think this is stainless after all. I'm getting a bit of a gold tone here. So I'm thinking that might be bronze. That would actually be pretty cool if it was bronze. So need to do a little more digging to make sure, but that seems to be what we have here. So that might be one of the better design decisions that they made when they put this bulwark together. Anyway, we carry on. A little bit more digging in on this backing plate for this stanchion, and it looks like it actually might be two pieces of metal instead of one. It's probably kind of hard to see on camera. It's making me think that because I'm seeing some wood underneath, I'm going to need to get under there to clean all of this out properly. So I think we're going to unmount this stanchion base, see if we can free these little brackets up. We can evaluate then, see what kind of shape they're in. These ones are glued in pretty nicely right now, but let's open this one up, see how they look, and then we can decide going forward if we're going to reuse the bronze, maybe instead use something like G10 would be, I think, a good option in here. But yeah, that's where we're at. So more investigating, more discovery, not all of it good news. Some of it though, I think overall, this is going to be a win in the end. You know, I would have rather not done any work on the bulwark, but I think that we're going to have a really solid, watertight, completely dry build when we're done. And so I can rely on that. Lots of years of service, no worries about water intrusion. Well, of course, the stanchion base is really quite well adhered, so we're going to get out the trusty heat gun here. I've got some putty knives. Let's tack that and see if we can get that free. Well, it looks like this is actually loose enough that there is a bit of flex, and that is going to come free, I think. So maybe we can pry that right out of here. Well, there it is, the first backing plate out of the bulwark, and it is some sort of bronze or copper-based metal. I don't know. I hope it's bronze. I see what I think is a little bit of pinking here on this end. Possibly, but anyway, there it is. It's just a bar of tapped bronze. Looks like it's about 1/4 inch thick, 5 or 6 millimeters, and that's what the backing plate of the stanchions is. So there's another one down in there that I still need to dig out. I'll do that now as we keep removing material from the bulwark. As is sometimes the case around here, I wish I got a little bit more done today, but hey, we're learning as we go, and we've tackled the issue with the backing plates on these stanchion bases, and it's good to know that they're not stainless steel or mild steel even more. I know the earlier Liberties and some Passports have mild steel and they swell up and rust out, so nice to find this instead. I guess the builders learned some lessons, but that's good for today, and we'll pick it up again tomorrow. We're on our way now to check out that inner bulwark. Before we do, this package arrived just recently from a gentleman in Texas named Gary, and he saw in a previous video I was asking for some help with some tooling to clean out the bottom of that pocket. And he has sent me 2 pieces of custom fabricated cut steel here. We've got this guy with a cool end on it. And you'll see it's a nice long bar here that we can use to scrape out the bottom of that pocket. And then a similar yet different version with a different modified end on it here. Nice long tool though. So we've got two options here with really nice handles on them too. I could put some hardwood handles on there maybe, but some nice gripping tools here for cutting, scraping out the bottom of that pocket, probably other uses as well. So I wanted to give a big thanks to Gary with Titus Machining in Mineola, Texas. I hope I'm saying that right. But if you're in the area, maybe you can check out his group there and get some work done for yourself. Gary, I know you didn't do this for any recognition, but I do want to say thanks. At any rate, let's put these to good use. And for now, let's go up and see what's happening with that inner bulwark. Whew, welcome to fall in the Northwest. It is really raining here today, but that's nothing too unusual. Well, must all good things come to an end? I don't know if that's true, but this certainly is. Our handy little super saw, our 6-inch saw that we got on Amazon, has bit the dust, and unfortunately we were just minding our own business, cutting out some rotten plywood fibers, and it started to shudder, and then all the smoke came out. And once the smoke comes out of the saw, or any other electronic device, it's super hard to get it back inside. So unfortunately, this little guy is gonna hang up here on the wall, and we'll just let it be. This will be our wall of tools in memoriam. Well, I am a little disappointed with the lifespan of that tool. It seems a bit short to me, but it is cool that the company has decided to send me a new one at no extra charge. I think that's good service, and we'll see how that one does. Maybe it's gonna last a lot longer. Possibly we just got one bad unit. But let's get back up on deck and keep pulling out this bulwark. Back up on deck now, and man, it's really raining out there, so I hope the audio is okay. But I wanted to give you an update on what we're doing with this bulwark, because when I found that inner plywood, I had sort of mentioned that maybe that meant I was gonna be cutting the whole inner section off, and I don't think I need to do that, because I've been able to hollow it out quite nicely with the chainsaw. It's a little thinner than the outer side. It's 1/2 inch on the outside and a 3/8 on the inside, but it hollowed out pretty nicely. And so I think I'll be able to stuff in new rigid foam with epoxy or a pour-in solution. A lot of you have mentioned that as well. We're gonna weigh out those options and decide. It's coming along pretty nicely. It's a little bit of extra work getting around the chain plates, but it's working out okay. So I think with this, I'll be able to stuff the new material in. It's holding its shape pretty well as it is. So I think we're gonna be able to keep the finished surfaces without a lot of extra, finish work. And that's gonna save a lot of time, as a lot of you had mentioned. And it's gonna end up super strong, stout, waterproof, all that good stuff. So that's the plan going forward. I hope that you're all happy with that. And now let's charge on and take this T-track out. Well, now that I know exactly where I want to make my cuts, it's going a lot faster to open this stuff up. And this section is interesting because it has this backing plate in it for the T-track system. Forward here, it's kind of a jumbled mess of resin and plywood. This whole bulwark kind of looks like the scraps at the end of the day. Because this section is continuous, this piece of metal, which I think is either brass or bronze, I'm not sure, but it looks like it's in decent shape. I probably want to try to reuse it. Continues back. So I think what we'll do is move the scaffolding so I can open that section up, take this bar out in one piece so that if I do decide I want to reuse it, it's in good shape. Well, another section is complete here, and unfortunately, since I am taking out that inner plywood as well now, it basically doubles the work, but I think it's going to be so good in the end, so I'm happy with that. And just want to say thanks again, Gary. This scraper has been awesome for cleaning out that last bit of wood, so I'm really appreciative to have this guy. Now we got a lot of work to do here, pulling these bulwarks apart, so I'll try and keep you guys updated, but don't worry, we're not going to be doing just bulwark videos for the next little while. I'll probably try and change it up, keep things interesting, and show you guys what we've been working on and check in. Right now it's moving along really well, so I'm thankful for that. Let me know in the comments what you think about this idea now to replace both sides of this opening, but then otherwise leave the rest of the bulwark intact. Hey y'all, breaking news update. You know we've had a few tools fail this week, and chief among them is my best camera, unfortunately. Something has happened to it, it's totally bit the dust. I had some replacement costs quoted to me, and it was like basically replacement costs. So I dove into it myself to try to fix it, and I've had luck with electronics repairs in the past, not this time. So unfortunately this thing is gone, and so we're going to be using the iPhone like we're doing right now. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that we pretty much operate in real time, so I don't have a whole catalog of footage to lean on to make videos while I try and figure this camera out. So unfortunately, we just don't have the budget to buy a new expensive camera again, so we'll have to see how it goes, and the quality of the videos might change a little bit in the near term, but I appreciate you sticking around. And for now, we'll get back to the video. And now if you're new to the project and you'd like to get caught up from the beginning of the whole story, that would be awesome. And there's a playlist for you right here. And if you would like to subscribe to the channel for more of this content, we'd love that. Button for you there. Take care. See you next time.